On my Instagram, I did a gut health Q&A the other day, and there was about 50 questions, and I wanted to organize them and go through them and answer them. Are greens powders worth it? Greens powder is never ever going to be the holy grail for gut health. But some greens powders have multivitamins and different minerals in them. They have benefits. I feel like they can really help people get into a healthy routine. And if they're not really feeling like eating vegetables that day, that can be a good option for them. But we know we're gonna get a lot more vegetables in a half a cup of broccoli than in a tablespoon of a greens powder. I also feel like greens powders make people drink more water. And for me, I really like them when I'm traveling, or if I just wanna get into a healthier routine, I might start my morning off with a greens powder because it helps me drink my water in the morning. Is there any truth behind having a healthy gut and eliminating allergens? Yes, a healthy gut can reduce inflammation and modulate our immune responses. So a lot of patients have to be on a high histamine diet for a short period of time because their immune system is activated, and we might eliminate high histamine foods as best we can. And then over time, your body's immune system starts to calm down and go back to normal, and you can start to tolerate those foods again. So a healthy gut microbiome and reducing your body's inflammatory response is ultimately going to help you tolerate more foods because your body's not scared of them, if that makes sense. What should I do after taking antibiotics? Honestly, I would just take a probiotic and also make sure you're getting a lot of fiber diversity in your diet and you're eating some fermented foods. So if you have diarrhea with your antibiotics, a really good probiotic is pure encapsulation Saccharomyces boulardii. You would start with 1 to 2 capsules every night, and it's just the best probiotic ever. It's actually a yeast, not a bacteria, in case anyone wanted to know. For the majority of people, you can just start incorporating a couple servings of fermented foods every day. So you could have a little bit of kombucha, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, Greek yogurt, all to help replenish your good gut bacteria. Do you have to test to know where you're at with your gut health, or is regular digestion enough? If you have regular digestion and it's not debilitating and it's not impacting your day-to-day activities, you don't need to worry about it. There's so many patients that I work with that we definitely do not do a stool test every single time unless something concerning is going on, or we've done a lot of lifestyle changes and they still are just curious on what's going on in their gut health. I personally like to do a stool test on myself. I'm gonna do one in the next month. If you're trying to do something with your gut health and you're just starting out, I would not waste your money on a stool test. I would work with someone or try to figure out your trigger foods and also work on stimulating your vagus nerve and your parasympathetic nervous system so you can make sure you're being mindful and you are in a rest and digest state when you eat. Basically, activating your parasympathetic nervous system is you aren't as stressed anymore, because a lot of us are constantly stressed and that's automatically going to impact our gut health. So we really want to work on mindfulness techniques, really help with our overall digestion. Are products like Viome worth it? All tests are different. I do the GI map. If you want to do it, I do offer them. If you're just interested in doing a stool test, you do have to do an initial consult with me. Is fructose intolerance a real thing? Yes, fructose intolerance is a real thing, just like lactose intolerance. Basically, your body can't break down fructose. So you want to avoid foods that are high in fructose, which you can look up if you download the Fig app. Simple enough. What are those clicks you hear in your throat when you don't eat? There is something called the migrating motor complex, and it's basically what's going on between our meals. We want to make sure we take breaks between our meals so we can have proper digestion, and what's going on is called the migrating motor complex, which helps clear an extra food or bacteria when you are fasting. So that is the only thing that I could think of. Why do we continuously do hacks on eating high fiber? A lot of people don't tolerate fiber. I don't know if you mean like supplements, because I think it is easy to get enough fiber in your diet not from supplements, but I love Kaizen pasta, Aloha bars. I'm all for eating things that you enjoy, and if there happens to be extra fiber in it, cool, I got more fiber for the day. But not everyone tolerates fiber, so a lot of times people have to go slow and steady, and you also have to make sure you're drinking enough water with fiber, because if you're not, it can cause a lot of bloating and GI upset. Because think about it, fiber is undigested for a reason. It helps build good gut bacteria and it helps move stool out of us. But if we don't complement it with enough water, it's gonna get stuck. We need water to help move things through. Much fiber is too much fiber. Again, it really depends on your tolerance. I think I've had days where I've had like 100 grams of fiber, but some people really don't need that much. As long as you're getting at least 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day, you're good. But there really isn't an upper limit. It really just depends on your tolerance. Someone with IBD, so ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, asked about how to manage diarrhea with a flare and if soluble fiber can help. So yeah, soluble fiber like oats, bananas, carrots can really help firm and bulk up your stools. If you're having a lot of intolerances, it's best to do cooked vegetables. So you can still get fiber, but it's going to be a little easier to digest. You also want to avoid the skins and the the seeds of those vegetables because those also can cause some issues for people. So if you're just eating things like cooked carrots, there's other ways to get fiber, but I would stay away from some of the foods that are really high in insoluble fiber, which is the seeds and the skins of fruits and vegetables, as well as nuts and seeds. A really good probiotic that's well studied for IBD is BSL number 3. And of course, work with your GI specialist because IBD is pretty well studied and there's different anti-inflammatory medications, steroids, or biologics that can really help reduce your symptoms and overall inflammation. I also put my clients on a really strict diet when they're having flare-ups or if they're recently diagnosed with Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. So I really try to make them eat a single ingredient whole food diet and stay away from any sugar alcohols or different additives in ultra processed foods. Foods that are high in fiber but easy to digest that aren't beans. Yeah, beans are pretty high in insoluble fiber. Insoluble fiber can cause you to go to the bathroom. Soluble fiber helps with diarrhea and constipation, so it's overall going to be easier to digest, but all foods contain insoluble and soluble fiber. I would say try things like sweet potato, avocado, banana, zucchini, and oats. Do foods need to be eaten in a certain order for digestion? Nope. Your body is just going to digest things as it does. But again, eating simple sugars on an empty stomach can upset some people's stomach because it's going to go through your digestive tract faster. So simple sugars are going to be things like candy, for instance. Increases your blood sugar because it's going through your body so fast. So if you were to eat fiber-rich carbohydrates or pair your meals with protein and healthy fats, those things are going to help slow down how fast the food goes into your system, which thus is going to help you tolerate the food better because it's going to go through your digestive tract slower. Why do I bloat when I drink my protein shake? Oh my gosh, I made so many videos on this. Okay, so not that you should know that, but I'm just saying I love talking about this. Okay, if we're looking at milk, milk has carbs, fats, and proteins. The carbohydrate is lactose, and some people are lactose intolerant. So you could be lactose intolerant. But then there's also the protein in milk, which is whey and casein. So if you have an allergy to milk, that means you could be allergic to the protein in milk. Some people are also just not tolerating casein or whey, which are the proteins in milk. Most likely it can be due to the fact that a lot of protein shakes have a lot of different sugar additives in them, like sucralose, and that can cause a little bit of GI upset in some people. Or you're not getting a drink that's a whey isolate, so some people are just more sensitive to the lactose in milk. So getting something like Core Power protein is usually better tolerated because it's filtered in a way that doesn't contain lactose. And one of the ingredients is also lactase, so the tiny bit of lactose that could still be in the product, at least you have lactase to help you break down the lactose. But I would definitely just start with looking at the ingredient list you have in your protein shake, and if there's a ton of ingredients, find one that's a little simpler. I have acid reflux. Do sweets trigger like acidic foods can? Yeah, so high sugar foods can relax your lower esophageal sphincter, which basically when that's open, it can allow stomach acid to go up your esophagus. Any highlights on reflux for somebody trying to get off PPIs? Yeah, you definitely want to talk to your doctor about gradually reducing them, and you also want to make sure you are following the correct diet for acid reflux, so you're avoiding triggering foods. So again, acidic foods, but also mint, chocolate, carbonated drinks, garlic, onion, really high fat and fried foods. Something that a lot of my clients like is pure encapsulations DGL+, but talk to your doctor about it. Basically what I'll have my clients do is, depending on the medication they're taking, we can usually start DGL while they're still on their medication, or we could talk to their doctor and see if we can try a couple meals without their PPI and they try a DGL+ before it. And basically DGL+ contains DGL licorice, slippery elm, and marshmallow root, and those help soothe the lining of the esophagus, and it just helps relax your GI tract. Are pickles and sauerkraut good for gut health? Yes, so you have to buy them in the fridge. They're rich in probiotics, which is good gut bacteria for our gut. We want good gut bacteria to keep all the bad bacteria out and have a healthy gut microbiome. A really tricky thing though about any gut health question is it's so dependent, and I know that's so annoying to hear, but gut health is honestly a really stupid term. I use it because I know people will know what to come to me for, but at the same time, it doesn't really make much sense because everyone's gut health is different. So somebody that has SIBO or they have a histamine intolerance going on and they feel like they're not tolerating any foods, you have to find out that you have SIBO or histamine intolerance first. Because if you do, we're going to eliminate any fermented foods, including things like sauerkraut, kimchi, pickles. Kefir on an empty stomach for gut health. Yeah, that's fine. I would just make sure it's a well-balanced meal. So you want to think about carbohydrates, protein, healthy fats, fiber. Kefir is mostly a carbohydrate, a little bit of protein. Maybe have some kefir, some oatmeal, and a handful of nuts, something simple like that, or a scoop of peanut butter. Best foods for someone without a gallbladder. So basically your gallbladder helps you release bile, which helps you break down your fats. When you don't have a gallbladder anymore, you still release bile, but instead of bile kind of going out like a hose to help you break down your fats, it kind of just trickles and drips like a ready faucet. So it's a little slower. So sometimes people have to supplement with things like lipase, which helps you break down your fats. But overall, you do want to consume a lower fat diet as well as a higher fiber diet. Plain travel snacks. I actually just posted a video on my Instagram recently about snacks and meals that you can bring to work because you don't have to refrigerate them. So I would go look at that video. Nuts, trail mix, dried fruit, beef or turkey jerky or beef or turkey sticks, a banana, but I would eat it before the plane takes off because every time I take a banana on the airplane, I swear it explodes. So apple would be a really good one, some carrots, a little bit of cheese. Bring a cheese stick, cut up some cucumbers, simple. You can also get protein bars at the airport. I would look for one with at least 10 to 20 grams of protein, around 200 to 300 calories, as minimal added sugar as possible. Thoughts on Huel protein drink? Yeah, Huel's good. It's a nutrient-dense protein shake that's free from a lot of artificial sweeteners and sugars, which is really hard to find in a lot of protein drinks. I don't know what that means. Told us that Gas-X makes you absorb more calories. That is simply would never possibly be true. Calories make you absorb more calories. Eating food makes you absorb more calories. It just breaks up bubbles in your digestive tract so you fart less. Thoughts about colonics or a common cleanse? I mean, cleansing yourself out is essentially also clearing out all the good gut bacteria, so I think people should be a little more careful with it. But as long as you're building up your good gut bacteria after that, then like, yeah, you'd be fine. But I don't know if you need to shit your pants in order to feel better. It really depends what you have going on. Like if you have a parasite, yeah, you probably have to poop out that. But yeah, some people just feel better because they've been constipated for a while. So like I just wouldn't go and do things without working with someone, which is annoying because I know people don't want to spend money, but it is what it is. Gut health is really complex and I don't know what to tell you. I just know that I know a lot and a lot of people don't with gut health. There's a lot of things I don't know and sometimes I try to self-treat and I feel like it never works and then I always end up going to the doctor or asking someone. This is a good question. Does chewing gum help with digestion? So I actually did talk about how you can chew gum with xylitol and that can help increase saliva production. And increasing saliva production is going to help you with digestion. That's why we really encourage people to chew their food more because it can help increase saliva production, which releases salivary amylase, which helps you break down your carbohydrates. However, it can be okay to do like between meals here and there, but you don't want to always have your salivary amylase be released because then your body's going to be like kind of confused and ready to digest at any given moment, and it doesn't always want to be digesting, if that makes sense. Also, a lot of gums have a lot of sugar alcohols in them that can upset someone's stomach, so xylitol is a sugar alcohol, but there's a lot of gums with some other sugar alcohols, and you just don't want to eat too much gum. So here and there, it can help increase saliva production, which can help with digestion, but overall, always chewing gum, I definitely wouldn't recommend doing that for gut health. Why would my GI doctor say gut bacteria isn't worth testing for? A lot of doctors say that and it's because your gut microbiome is always changing. However, I don't know. I've gone to a GI doctor and they tested for like H. pylori and calprotectin, which is basically inflammation in your colon. And I like doing stool tests on myself because you get so much more information about what's going on currently. And a lot of those things aren't just going to go away. So yeah, your gut bacteria is always changing, but if there's something going on, it's nice to see it. So like I had H. pylori, for instance, when I did my first stool test and I made that better, which was sweet. Felt great. Are hiccups caused by eating too fast? Yes. When you eat too fast, you're swallowing more air, which could also cause acid reflux. So slow down and chew your food because that's gonna help with everything. How to treat SIBO? All right, first make sure you have SIBO, and then we might need to go on a low FODMAP diet and eliminate some fermented foods. Sometimes you need antibiotics, other times you just need antimicrobials, prokinetics. My daughter is constantly constipated. Natural alternatives to Miralax. Prune juice. Making sure they're getting enough fiber. You could do Metamucil or Benefiber. Make sure they're drinking enough water. You could talk to your doctor about doing like a magnesium or magnesium citrate. But a lot of times it's because they're not drinking enough water, they're not moving enough. Managing GERD, it's causing some tongue and lip irritation. Make sure you are avoiding all trigger foods, like acidic foods. And you're managing your stress, because stress is a huge trigger for GERD. You're also not laying down right after you're eating. You're not eating too fast. You're chewing your food adequately. You're eating enough fiber. You're not wearing pants that are too tight and like pressing on your stomach because that can lead to acid reflux. Limiting alcohol, caffeine, carbonated drinks. Why am I getting older and I'm now reacting more to lactose and gluten? So over time, our body does actually tolerate lactose less, which is interesting. We just lose the enzyme lactase. It could increase gluten sensitivities. It's not, I don't think it's proven, but you also have to think about it might not be because you're getting older. It could just be because you've been exposed to something that's impacting your immune system and now you're tolerating less foods. I wouldn't just assume it's because you're getting older, and I would actually try to figure out if there's something going on in your life that could have triggered something and caused you to be more sensitive to it. Best thing to do is to eliminate them and see how you feel, and then maybe you can reintroduce them. But again, I'd work with someone. It doesn't have to be me, but I could definitely help you with that. Have you ever worked with anyone that has to do a fundoplication surgery? Not in a long time, so the pronunciation is a little brutal, but yes, I have. I worked in the hospital for a while, and that was one of the floors and units I was on, GI surgeries. So basically that surgery is they take part of your stomach and they wrap it around the lower part of your esophagus, and it's supposed to strengthen your lower esophageal sphincter. And a lot of people with acid reflux, they have a weakened lower esophageal sphincter, so it can open up and close when we don't want it to, and that can cause acid from the stomach to go up to the esophagus. You want to make sure you're chewing your food really adequately. You want to avoid carbonated drinks, avoid alcohol. You want to avoid a lot of foods that can cause a lot of gas and bloating, like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, asparagus. You also want to avoid acidic foods like citrus and tomatoes, and make sure you're hydrating between meals. You also have to be on like a liquid diet at first. So you test for lactose intolerance. Yes, that's a hydrogen breath test, or you just take out lactose and see how you feel. There's also a lactose tolerance blood test. How long does it take for bloating or gas to happen after eating if your body can't process something like lactose? It really depends. So like for some people, they might have issues going on in their stomach, like they have low stomach acid. They might have issues in their small intestine, like they have SIBO, or they might have issues in their large intestine where they're really sensitive to the fermentation process. So if you're feeling issues going on within like 30 minutes to an hour after meals, it could be something going on with your stomach and small intestine. But if you're feeling bloating a lot later, it could be something going on with your colon. Lactose is supposed to be broken down into glucose and galactose in your small intestine. So if you're having issues with lactose, that would be in your small intestine. The last one is, I have one more breath test and still no answers. Honey, you gotta work with me, because I feel bad for people that do all these tests and they really can't figure things out. And it's not that I'm any better than anyone else. I dedicate my practice to spending time with you and asking you questions about your life so we can actually figure out what's going on and find the root cause of it. So like, okay, you're gonna find out you have SIBO, then what? You might be prescribed medications, but I think it'd be helpful to work with a dietitian who specializes in this, which is not every dietitian. But I really think people underestimate the power of our diets in these situations. And sometimes supplements can be a really natural way to go about it, and I definitely would not do that with just anyone. I really would do it with someone like me who at least recognizes medicine and is for medicine. And if some of my clients aren't doing better, let's say we find out they have H. pylori on their stool test and we're working on eliminating the H. pylori with antimicrobials, maybe some probiotics, and we're also taking things to help with the gut lining and your immune system. If things aren't getting better, then yeah, we probably need to do antibiotics or work with your GI doctor a little bit. I mean, it's not one or the other, and I think when it comes to health, a lot of holistic ways can actually just make things worse. And I would rather have people work with someone and stop trying to guess how to do everything, because I didn't learn any of this in school. This is all just from clinical practice, honestly. Okay, this is gonna take a while to edit. We did it. I hope these answers are okay, because this is just like rapid fire. Okay, bye. Love ya. Have a great rest of your weekend.